In this unit, I'll be giving a basic overview on the concept of fractions and some examples to better visualize how they work. So you're probably already familiar with whole numbers. They're just regular numbers like 1 or 5 or 10, for example. There are no decimal points, no weird bars, none of this 3/4 or 1.2, none of that. Pretty easy. Now, fractions, on the other hand, they're a little bit harder, and if you don't learn them now, there's really no hope for you later, so it's better to just get it over with now. Fractions are used to describe a proportion of something, like 1/2 of a population or 1/2 of a gallon of milk. And we typically write a fraction like this. So for 1/2, we would write it as 1/2. And you're probably used to seeing the top number being smaller than the bottom number. And if that's the case, we like to call this a proper fraction. The top number here is called the numerator, and the bottom number here is called the denominator. Okay, so the numerator tells you how many parts of something you have, and the denominator tells you how many total parts there are. So, for example, think of a pizza with 8 slices. If you eat 5 slices by yourself, which would be more than half, by the way, the fraction of the pizza you've eaten would be 5/8, or 5/8 of the pizza. Now, if you had a really bad day and ate all 8 slices, then you would have eaten 8 out of 8 slices, or 1 whole pizza. Pretty simple so far, right? But it can get a little bit squirrely if the top number gets bigger than the bottom number. So, for example, what if we had a fraction like 12/8? What does that look like in terms of our pizza? This would mean that you have our original 8 out of 8 slices of pizza that you started with, but then you scavenge yourself another 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 8 slices that someone left behind. So 4 out of 8, for a total of 12 slices out of the original 8 that we started with. Now, this kind of fraction where the numerator is larger than the denominator is called an improper fraction. Okay, good to know. It's improper because the fraction is larger than 1. We have more than 1 pizza. Another way to describe this is that, okay, you have 1 whole pizza here. So there's your 1. And then you have another half of a pizza, so that's this guy. And this can be written as 1 4/8 pizzas. And this is called a mixed number because you are mixing a whole number with a fraction. If you had 3 whole pizzas and we're adding 4 slices again, you could write this as 3 pizzas plus 4 out of 8 slices would be 3 4/8 pizzas. You just put them together. But you have to make sure that this number in the front has to be a whole number. Now, mixed numbers won't be super common in algebra. You won't be using them an awful lot, but I'll be sure to include them in my examples video linked below. Okay, here's another example of visualizing fractions. Let's say you have 24 hours before your next exam, represented here by this number line. So 24 hours, or 1 whole day. And let's say that you've done nothing up until now. So you're going to dedicate the next 24 hours to studying. Now, if you're like me, you're probably going to spend 8 hours here playing video games, right? And then you're going to spend another 8 hours here, probably on YouTube. Oops. And then you're going to accidentally fall asleep for 12 hours. So let's say fall asleep. So you have 8 out of 24 hours spent here, 8 out of 24 hours spent here, and 12 out of 24 hours spent here, for a total of 28 hours out of 24. So, but what does this mean? Well, it means that you had 24 hours to prepare for your exam, but you spent 28 hours instead. And that's an oopsies because there are only 24 hours in a day. So these 4 hours over here in red, these 4 hours, 1, 2, 3, 4, this represents day 2. So essentially, you missed your exam and failed the course. Now, if we want to write this in terms of mixed numbers, we would say that this 28 of 24 hours, so let me write that again up here. 28 over 24, this is the same as a full 24 hours from the first day plus 4 hours of the second day. And this 24 over 24, that's the same as 1 full day. And we still have our 4 hours from the second day. And we would write this as 1 and 4 24th days.